and I have the distinct honor to serve as the president of the Rotary Club of Oakland. Founded in 1908, we're the third established club of some 36,000 Rotary clubs, and I might add another 10,000 Rotaract clubs, so some people say 46,000 clubs in over 200 countries around the world. We're a diverse community of over 300 local business, professional, and community leaders who unite to improve local and international communities through a common commitment of service above self. For over 113 years, we've welcomed Rotarians and guests to our club meetings, and I welcome you to this, our 5,368th meeting. For those of you attending online, or if you're a visiting Rotarian or a guest of a Rotarian, please enter your name in the chat box. It's located in the center of the bottom of the screen so that we can recognize you in a few minutes. We recommend that you view today's meeting using Speaker View in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. And if you have comments or want to ask a question of the speakers, please use the chat box. For those of you here who are here in the ballroom, I ask that you do not use your electronic devices or to watch the meeting on Zoom, as it interferes with our ballroom Wi-Fi. Under current Alameda and now, as of today, state regulations and our club protocols, it's required that you wear a mask inside if you're not eating or drinking. We're trying to make this space just as safe as possible for our members and guests while still having a great meeting. I also ask that you refrain from talking during the meeting, as that sound becomes background noise on our online broadcasts. Gary Flaxman, you're here somewhere. Could you come up and give us a thought for the day?
All right, thank you, President Dudley. In deference to our speakers today, our guests, I had a thought. And my thought was that amongst the club, we have many individuals here that are really incredible instruments in the service to our community. But together, we're an orchestra.
Okay, so do we have some, we'll recognize visiting Rotarians and guests. Ed Jelen, I think you're online today. Are you back from Hawaii?
I am back, President Dudley. Good to see everybody.
It's nice to see you on television again.
Here I am. In terms of visiting Rotarians and guests, the only one I have listed is somebody you know very well, named Concha Delgado Guyton. So we welcome Dudley's wife, Concha, to our meeting.
Okay, so do we have any visiting Rotarians here today? Fred? Fred's usually the one carrying it around with him. Okay.
Anyway,
there we go.
I'd like to introduce my guests and Nick, Nick, I forget your Hagel, or how do you?
Hengel.
Wow, that's going to be a hard one. Hengel. Anyway, he went to UCSB, as I did. I think he went a little more recently. Yeah. Well, we got.
You're not the only gaucho here.
Anyway, he's a financial advisor here in, well, Berkeley, actually. He's on the Oakland line.
Thank you. Welcome, Nick. I might add, too, my wife was a professor at UCSB, so.
Oh, we'll have to talk about that.
Allison, would you like to introduce Ellie?
Thank you. Thanks, President Dudley. This is Ellie Danilin. Not only is she a superb flautist that plays with the awesome orchestra that you're going to hear from today, but she's also the director of the Greek Chamber Music Association project. And it's fantastic music. If you're interested, I have some of her cards. Thank you.
Welcome, Ellie. It's so good to have you two visiting with us today. Nick, I think you and David can discuss the pronunciation of your last names after the meeting. The other day, I ordered some food and gave them my name, and when I looked at the receipt, it came out Dugley, D-U-G-G-L-E-Y. So, okay. Today is our annual meeting, and so Michael, I'm sure we didn't talk about the protocols for this, but I guess I should call the annual meeting to order. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll have 3 orders of business. Sean, take a seat. I've got 10 minutes here. You might even get a drink or a glass of wine here. Probably get coffee before I'm done. So we'll have 3 orders of business. There's a president's report, and then we will have the election of our president-elect nominee and new directors, and then I'm going to ask Joel Parrott to give a report on the Environment Committee. So at my inauguration last July, I identified 3 areas that would be my focus this year: bringing the club back together and healing relationships after a period of separation. Secondly, promoting Rotary as the best service organization in the world. And thirdly, convincing members to become fully engaged and invite others to join us in this mission. After 5 months, I would like to report on the health of the Rotary Club of Oakland. Beginning with our first meeting in July, our club has met in-person, online, hybrid 19 times, and through its online Zoom platform 4 times. One of those 4 times was with the First 5 Collaborative of Rotary Clubs. In general, from the next 6 months, we will meet in the ballroom 3 times a month and then have alternative meetings the other Thursday. The regular club meetings, whether hybrid or online, have approximately the same attendance that we did when we were online during the pandemic, but really going back to 2015. We've held the attendance about the same. The difference, of course, is that we're averaging about half of the people here in the ballroom at any time and about half of the people online. It tends to just about the same total number, just a little one way or the other. Of course, we've tried a variety of ways to encourage people to come here and feel safe to attend meetings. We've tried to have stringent COVID-19 protocols. Thank you, Ms. Jones, for leading us in that effort. And we've also had receptions before the meeting each week, so with some food and wine. We've tried boxed lunches. It just hasn't worked out yet. So someday we'll get, I listened to Cliff Docterman, and he was trying to say, he said something about his Rotary, Cliff Docterman was the former Rotary International president. He said something about, they tried to, with $11 meals, they tried to find the, I think it was the worst meal that they could for $11, and I think that's been typically the history of Rotary meetings. So we also realized that there's been technological challenges. Although I have to say, I believe we've resolved the equipment issues, and we're trying very hard. That's a AV. I think we've resolved the equipment issues, and we're trying very hard to achieve a high-quality production. Speakers Committee, chaired by Robert Kidd, has had another excellent year of speakers and are almost fully booked into the spring. There is a change in post-pandemic world, or even full pandemic world as we're in, that we will sometimes have live speakers in the ballroom, and sometimes speakers will appear online. But allowing online speakers, we can have people address us from around the world. Our membership has held fairly steady the first 5 months. We finished the 2020 year to 21 year, the end of Sessa's year, with 271 active and 11 honorary members. We have inducted 17 new members and 1 honorary member the past 5 months. And we currently have 7 applicants, of which we hope that 3 will be inducted the first meeting in January. On the other hand, we have had 15 active member terminations, and frankly, we expect another 10 to 12 by the end of December. So we'll be down a little bit at the beginning of the year. As I stated, my goal is to get the club up to 300 members by the end of my year, at the end of June, with a robust, and really what's important though is that we have a robust membership program that will carry over into Mary Jiang's and Tom Lamone's years. But the main way, the main way to get new members is for you, our current members, to extend invitations. So we're focusing on how to keep members engaged, especially with changes in members' lives that prevents meeting in person. Not only are club meetings available online, but almost all, we just did a whole series of calls and we found that many of the members don't realize we're broadcasting our meetings online. So tell your friends or tell people you know that they can watch a meeting. But not only are club meetings online, but almost all committee meetings are held online. We've had many opportunities for personal and social engagement. We've had cocktails with the president at Kingston 11, at Calavera and Moxie, a business development mixer and a new members social cocktail party at a couple members' homes. We went to 2 baseball games. We had 100 tickets for each of those baseball games, and we also went to a Roots soccer game. We did a night at the Warriors, a live stream Warriors game the other night at the new Parkway. We've had club service days. We've done bicycle rides, organized hikes, a morning at the pickleball court, and a golf tournament. So we've tried to, if you can't, we've had a year and a half of being at home, and we've just tried to, if we can't come to the ballroom, at least have as many events as we can where people can interact. It has been disappointing that the Oakland Unified School District doesn't allow visitors in the schools. So our Kinder Prep program has not been able to organize school visits or field trips. But the committee has funded grants. Every Kinder Prep teacher received a $250 gift certificate to purchase school supplies. And we also supplied students with science kits, and we funded an arts education program for transitional kindergartners. Our youth service committees are very active. We currently have Interact programs in 4 high schools. Our Hope Committee is working with 5 students at various age levels, providing mentorship to support them through high school and to get to college. As Gary Flaxman reported last week, the students were treated to attending a Golden State Warriors game with courtside seats for the pregame practice. The Cerrone Lena Scholarship Committee is working with 25 college students, both mentoring and giving financial support. The Enterprise Institute is planning its 40th anniversary camp. And was Harold Lowe, is he at the first one, I believe, or maybe the second one? But Harold chairs that committee and is really planning to have a great Enterprise Institute this April. The Speech Contest Committee, Alex Kafka is here, and Barbara Berry are putting together the public speaking program in addition to planning the speech contest, which will be the last meeting in February. Our service committees are very active. In addition to organizing service projects, they approved grants for a wellness watch for veterans, a computer room upgrade for the homeless at St. Vincent de Paul, school backpacks for kids at Havens Court neighborhood, a chicken coop for City Slicker Farms, and an upgrade of IT systems at Harbor House, food delivery equipment for Meals on Wheels, and a web design for Down syndrome. Not bad for 5 months. Carl Stuckey Community Service Committee has sponsored new Rotary Foundation global grants for adopting family-based agriculture to address climate change in Guatemala, and for equipment for schools for blind girls in Ethiopia. The committee currently has 9 global grant projects approved and 4 in the draft process. Our projects cover countries in Sri Lanka, Guatemala, Colombia, Kenya, El Salvador, Ethiopia, and India. The committee also approved grants for the purchase of insecticide netting for the prevention of malaria in Colombia. I believe Keith Jerome, that was your project, if I recall. Food supplies for internal refugees in Afghanistan, and informational books for Afghan refugees in Jordan, wheelchairs for disabled persons in Mexico and Serbia, monitoring jaguars and tabors in Panama. Leanne, I think I saw you come in. She's heading that project, and it's something that the Oakland Zoo used to be involved in. food and medical care for students at a girls' school at the Ivory Coast. And we also plan a trip to Mexico to distribute those wheelchairs for this summer. Housing and Food Insecurity Committee worked last year on developing a kibbutz-style community. They're negotiating for land, which has been very difficult. But the club has a very active service project prior to the pandemic with a weekly food pantry at Laney College. This came to a halt during the pandemic, but a similar program has been started and it was revived in October. The committee is also working with the Rotary Club of Berkeley to develop an informational brochure for housing and food insecure residents in the area. The Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee meets regularly to develop its mission to help the club assure that members are treated fairly and feel welcome. We know that situations are perceived differently by different people. They are working hard and very intentionally to help us process our differences. The current focus is on engaging a consultant to work with the committee and with the club. An initiative to address the environment that I've asked Joel Parrott to say something about, and climate change, is currently being developed by the club, and Joel will give this report. Finally, the Board of Directors has created new policies to address member disputes and leaves of absence. They also approved the invitation to 5 Oakland Chambers of Commerce for reciprocal memberships. Our financial condition is strong. The Oakland Rotary Endowment has grown to about $5 million. It's right at $5 million. The earnings from the endowment, bell ringers, the gala, and 25% of the ORE campaign support the community and international charitable projects of the club. The budget this year is $358,000. There are 4 primary fundraising efforts each year: the Rotary Foundation TRF for Rotary International, Feed the Hungry, the ORE campaign, and the gala. We are winding up the TRF campaign, and it should achieve, we don't have the final numbers yet, but it should achieve around $120,000 with about 60% participation by the club. Last week, we held Feed the Hungry here, and it achieved $52,100 in pledges. We had fun opening up our pocketbooks last week. It was a hoot. And the ORE campaign will be in March, and the gala is planned for late April. You'll hear more about that. I think it's going to be the last week of April. Finally, the Oakland Rotary Club is different from ORE, operates with approximately a $283,000 budget, and that is essentially on track for the year. And Jesse Bowdle is completing his first year as our executive administrator. Coming back together is wonderful, but it has presented its challenges. Some of those are technological, and those will get solved. Others are related to the pandemic and changes in our culture and our personal sense of safety. And others are relational, and hopefully those will be worked out. Rotary is about relationships and service. I encourage you to become more involved in the club the rest of this year. Attending online committee meetings is easy. Come to a social event or a service project. Get your bicycle or golf clubs or walking shoes out and spend a few hours with fellow Rotarians. Invite a friend to a meeting. And we need your financial support for all the charitable work we do at home and abroad. We are Rotarians. Serve to change lives, and don't keep Rotary a secret. Sean Marks, could you come up? Now's the time. Yes, Sess.
I'd like to ring the bell for you for leading us through the first half of the year and all the accomplishments.
Thank you, Sess. That's much appreciated. For those of you that are new to our club, ringing the bell is a generous $100 gift to our Oakland Rotary Endowment. Sean.
Thank you, President Dudley. Whoa. I'm past President Sean Marks.
It's amazing that we're at $5 million for our endowment. Congratulations. And thank you for your leadership with that, Seth. You've really had a great impact. So it's my pleasure today to present the slate for directors for next year, as well as our club president for 2023-2024. So first, our directors. Somewhere here. Starting in June and serving for 3 years, Joel Parrott, Riza Hernandez, and Carrie Butkovich. And then starting in January, going for 2 years, Alex Kafka. I would entertain a motion on this slate for directors.
Moved by Fred Morris, second by Ralph Sklar.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Would our directors that are here please stand up? Is it this to you? Well, and I know some of them are on Zoom.
Do we have Carrie on Zoom?
Okay, with great pleasure, I present to you the nominee for president of Oakland Rotary for 2023-2024, Tom Lamone. I would entertain a motion. All right, hey, Anna Marie, is there a second?
Is there a second?
All right,
Steve Blair.
all those in favor? Opposed?
Is this a unanimous
Abstentions?
vote?
I think the majority carries. Tom Lamone. Looking forward, Tom. Come on up.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Dudley. So first, I'd like to thank the nominating committee and our past presidents for being such inspiring leaders and role models, and also for many of them for sharing their journeys when it was time for them to take this role. Also to the membership for their confidence and support as I grow into this position. Rotary's created so many opportunities for growth and leadership through service on committees and boards, and even providing a safe space to practice public speaking. There's no better community. I would like to thank everyone for this opportunity to serve and lead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Tom. Joel? Yes, I would let you do that. Joe Garalka brings the bell for Tom Lamone. And we have an online bell ringer for Ruth Strout for me. Thank you, Ruth. That's very kind. Okay, Joel Parrott, could you please tell us a little bit about our environment initiative?
Okay, it's on. All right. So I'm here to basically tell you that we've had our first meeting of the Environment Committee, and I'm here to invite you all to join the committee and be a part of it. I personally can't think of any committee in Rotary that is more important. There are others that are just important, but not more important. And let me give you a couple of examples, okay? Just in the last couple of days, the outbreak of tornadoes that have caused so much devastation through 6 states, and of course, especially in Kentucky. There are generally 1,200 tornadoes per year in America, but not in December. And this year we recorded the first December tornado in Minnesota ever. Who do you think, who can name the most powerful hurricane that's ever been recorded? No, it's not Camille. Hurricane Patricia, formed off the west coast of Mexico, slammed into the mountains, so you never really heard about it. 215-mile-an-hour sustained winds, the highest ever recorded. Hurricane Ida was 150-mile-an-hour winds compared to the 215, but Hurricane Ida caused $65 to $95 billion of damage from Louisiana all the way to New York City. In the meantime, the Colorado River is drying up. The groundwater aquifers are dropping below the depths of the wells in farm country. You add extreme drought to record heat waves that we've been having, and you get a tinderbox for wildfires, which in the last 2 years in California have been the worst wildfire seasons ever. You know, on top of all this, this is just in the last 2 months. You've had flooding, catastrophic flooding in British Columbia, Seattle, and Vancouver. And they had, of course, the flooding in New York City, not from sea level rise, which they all feared, but just good old rain. And they had flooding in New York City. So then you do have sea level rise that's coming. And it's 1/10 of the population of the world is at risk, because 40% of the world's population lives somewhere along the coast around the world. Okay, so we have to get carbon neutral, all of us, and change our lifestyles to do it in very short order. Rotary International has made this one of the focus areas for the efforts of Rotary International, as has President Dudley. And so what I'd like to do is invite you all to be a part of this committee. I think it's something that we all have to address as a true existential threat to so many people around the world. And so you can send me an email. To join, my email is in the roster, but I will warn you that the picture looks nothing like me.
Thank you, Joel. Yes, really the committee's really looking at sort of two areas right now. One is mitigating the changes that have happened, which is a little bit like our Guatemala project, but also how do we affect the climate change to lessen the future, to make the future better for our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids and our great-great-grands. Many of us will be long gone by the serious times, but our families will survive somehow. Robert Kidd, would you please introduce our speakers today? Oh, we have one more bell ringer. Ruth Strout for Tom Lamone. Thank you, Ruth. Yep.
Well, thank you, President Dudley. We invite you today to eavesdrop on a conversation between two leaders of the musical scene here in the East Bay. You're already acquainted with Dr. Mieko Hatano. Wave your hand, Mieko. There we go. She is the executive director of the Oakland Symphony Organization. As such, she oversees the Oakland Symphony, the Oakland Symphony Youth Orchestra, and the many outreach programs that the Symphony sponsors for children. As executive director, Mieko deals with the same challenges that face other cultural arts organizations: the pandemic, closures, aging audience, increasing costs, and so on. In addition, Mieko is leading this year the search for the music director who will step into the shoes of our late beloved Michael Morgan. Before joining the Oakland Symphony in 2018, Mieko was the executive director of the Music in the Mountains program in Grass Valley. She's a graduate of the University of Michigan and holds a doctorate degree from the University of Southern California. Joining Mieko in conversation is David Merschler, and that's Merschler with an umlaut O. Is that right? Good. Having graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, David has the distinction of holding 2 bachelor degrees, one in music and the other in astrophysics. He also holds a master's in musical conducting granted by the University of California at Davis. Go Aggies. David is the founder, the director, and the conductor of the Awesome Orchestra. And the Awesome Orchestra also has an umlaut. The Awesome Orchestra is a group of skilled amateur musicians who get together to explore traditional and non-traditional orchestra music. And they perform in unusual places. I first encountered them in the parking lot at Drake's Brewery. And just last week, they had their end of the season performance at Freight and Salvage in Berkeley. In addition to founding and running Awesome Orchestra, David serves as a musical director and conductor for such local theater companies as Berkeley Rep and Shotgun Players. So here in conversation regarding the joys and tribulations of symphonic music, please welcome Mieko Hatano and David Mischler.
Is that working now? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much, Robert. Robert actually was on the board of directors that completed the search for my position, and he was actually president during the time. So he actually appointed me to this position. So it's a very special relationship that I have with Robert. So Robert, thank you so much. And of course, getting to speak with somebody like David, who really embodies so much about what we are about here in Oakland, coming together as a community to curate and create and collaborate through the arts in our community. And actually, I'm a huge fan of his and the Awesome Orchestra. I too first came upon the Awesome Orchestra out of the blue, just walking the streets of Oakland in front of the library just down the street. They were down in the well, and all I heard was music until I finally came up on it and saw a huge orchestra just down in the well there, in the stairwell. And I was just enthralled, just amazed by this gathering of our community members with all their instruments and their talents that they had brought with them through high school and college and into their adult lives. So this is really a fun opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. And I thought we just might start with, I think you probably all know what I do. I'm more the business manager, and I manage the human and financial resources in order to execute the mission of symphonic music, choral music, and youth music education here in Oakland. But a music director, you see conductors on a stage, and music directing isn't just about waving your arms and getting an orchestra to go, which we'll also still talk about what does a conductor do too, but just starting with, what do you see as your role as an artistic director and a music director?
Well, first of all, thank you, Mieko, for talking with me up here. I'm a huge, huge fan of what y'all do at Oakland Symphony. And thank you to Robert and Dudley and Alison Bliss who introduced me to everybody to be here today to talk a little bit about this. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting overlap with what you do as an executive director, I think, in terms of essentially producing an event. It's not just waving the arms, but the job of the conductor is to make musical decisions with other people. And when you're running an orchestra, everything you make, even if it's not a musical decision, is related to the musical decisions. Whether it's what pieces you play, where you play it, how long it is, who's going to be playing, all the logistical stuff, who's going to buy a ticket to this. So to get to that, I try and always go even deeper into well, what are orchestras doing? If my job is to help make musical decisions, why do orchestras exist? And there was an interview with Sir Simon Rattle a number of years ago that I saw when I was a grad student in conducting. And somebody asked him a question, and he answered with something that I'll never forget. The person asking the question said, what do orchestras want? And he leaned in and he said, They want to go on an adventure. And so that's why we gather. It's our whole mission with Awesome Orchestra Collective here is our tagline is we're the Bay Area's adventure-seeking orchestra. But as the music director, my job is to choose adventurous repertoire, choose adventurous places to play, choose adventurous people to play with, choose adventurous ways to play it. And I really think that's what all orchestras do. And Oakland Symphony is a huge inspiration to what we do with the type of programming and Michael Morgan's legacy that's living on through y'all. It's very exciting to see orchestras at that level start to do that and to have that kind of repertoire and adventurous spirit. Y'all have been adventurous for a very long time, long before us. So yeah, the music director's job is not just to wave their arms, but to follow through with the mission that they set up. And working with executive directors, we don't have the same business model as Oakland Symphony, obviously. We're a couple of order of magnitudes lower down than y'all, which is fine. But yeah, I wanted to ask you actually, if I could direct it back, what it's been like being an executive director with sort of a huge hole and gap of Michael's, not just his legacy, but his work. What's it been like to run the orchestra? And do you have to think like a conductor would more when you're programming? Are you doing most of the programming? I love getting into specifics as we can, but whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Absolutely. I wasn't expecting to be posed a question back, but but obviously this is what we're going through here in Oakland, losing our music director, and in the manner that we've lost our music director is actually very, very rare. This is not how it's supposed to happen ever. And so beyond the grief and the mourning that we're all going through together as a community, our management team, our board of directors, we've had to make some pretty major decisions because we are an institution for our community and of our community. And so it's imperative that we continue doing what our mission is. And though our leader and our founding father is not with us anymore, it was our responsibility all along to all be aligned in exactly what our values and vision for the future always was and will be. So as hard as it was to keep going forward, we really had very clear guidelines as to how we were going to go through these next steps. And as difficult as it was to execute, immediately, now I have a musical background. That's not the case for all executive directors of a symphony. So I do actually have a skill set that I can step in and make musical decisions. But I choose to be collaborative. It is actually my decision when I don't have my partner, a music director. Everything does fall to me. But one of the things that I learned from Michael Morgan that I carry with me is that this is all about collaboration. And so, we talk to our musicians in our orchestra. They're all incredibly intelligent, insightful, and just beautiful artists themselves. We have committee structures, we have advisors, and we have community artistic partners. If any of you went to our Break Bread concert, all of those people, yes, that's one of my favorites, Dr. Lynn Morrow, who conducted, she's also our chorus director, our youth orchestra director, they're all people that I lean on, and we together collaborate in what we want to do artistically going forward. We have placed all of these really incredibly exciting guest conductors on our slate for the season. And that again was a collaboration, of course, then who's available, but really trying to bring people who share the same values again, because as David said, and I love that you said that about Sir Simon Rattle and your model of the awesome orchestra, of this being an adventure. Because that's really what what music, what art, these shared experiences are all adventures. And even behind the scenes, we kind of go on these adventures as we curate these adventures that we want to take our audience with us.
Yeah, it's like we can't, there's a lot of things in running an orchestra compared to other businesses that you can't point to. And that makes it difficult to describe, or other people, I don't want to say don't understand it, but when you say, well, why is it, what's so important about live music? Well, why do we need that? Why don't we just listen to the recording? Why don't we just watch it from home? And you can't point to the thing that's different. You can't point to the feeling that you have, but we know we need it. We need it to live. We need to see live performance. Most humans need it. It's been in every culture of civilization since the dawn of time, and will be here until the end or whenever, and it will always be here. But we can't point to those things that make it different, that make it an adventure. You know, what was, you know, whether it's the pageantry of getting hundreds of people up together and just dozens of pieces, but the Break Bread concerts are always incredible. And I sadly couldn't go this last Sunday because we had a concert the same day, but just the sheer pageantry and excitement and palpability. You can't point to it, but everyone feels it. And that to me sums up what orchestras can do in terms of they're just a force of nature, you know. And the sad thing is, they also grew up and came into an age, you know, under extremely, under sexism and capitalism and racism and ableism and all of that. And so they've become ossified in a lot of ways and not as adventurous. So most people in the world have never heard an orchestra live. And that's something that is both shocking and sad, but also, I think, exciting to bring that to wherever we can, because when people experience it, it's very rare when somebody walks by, like if we're playing outside or something. We're a nomadic group with awesome orchestra, so we just play all over the Bay Area, from like BART stations to libraries to whatever. And there's nothing like seeing the look on somebody's face when they walk by and they say, oh, that's an orchestra. And you realize, oh, not only do most of those people have rarely seen one live, but they maybe never seen one. And there's this incredible palette within the orchestra of expression. I always say there's a piece of music for every feeling you've ever had or ever will have in your life that will describe how you feel. And going to hear orchestra concerts or listening to any music helps you get in touch with that and be able to think about that and reflect and express that. And the cool thing about orchestras is that it's not just the piece of music, but it's also what everybody brings to it. It's that, you know, imagine if every rock band had 90 people in it. I mean, they would, you know, they're already exciting, but just the idea of, it's just a way of gathering that's like no other, you know? And, but there's a lot of it that we can't point to, and I spend a lot of time lying awake at night trying to say, well, what is it about? What makes us different? What makes other orchestras different? Where are we coming from, and where do we want to go? And that's something that is on the mind, I think, of every executive director and artistic director. That is very challenging because we have to break down a lot of stuff, but also we have to. There's stuff about the models of orchestra that works really well, that, like I said, is exciting, but so one of the biggest questions, of course, is now inclusion and equity and diversity. Like many arts organizations are looking inward, and you know, it's no secret that orchestras have a very torrid history with that and terrible representation. You know, you look at San Francisco Symphony. It's exciting to see change happening at the repertoire level. You know, my friend Jessie Montgomery, who's real not up and coming, a celebrated composer now. She's a black female composer, and I think they're playing her music 8 times out on their entire program next year. And, you know, I can name like one other black female composer. The San Francisco Symphony in their 110 years or whatever has performed ever. I'm sure the number is a little higher, but in terms of just living memory. So it's exciting to see that change happen, And I think it has to happen in a way that we have to sort of train audiences and say, the orchestra is a huge voice, an amplifying voice. How do we get them to amplify voices that have not been represented since orchestras have existed? Or if they have, they've been not represented well. So that's one thing that I lie awake thinking about, how to do that. And again, Oakland Symphony has been such a huge source of inspiration, Michael's legacy and the work that y'all have done behind the scenes, and seeing the shoes that the next conductor will have to fill on all these guest conductors, seeing that represented in the repertoire that y'all choose is, to me, one of the most exciting things of change happening, to see other orchestras do it and to not have to wrestle with it as much, I think. You know, like, is that, in terms of like, well, should we take this risk or not? It seems like orchestras are getting riskier, which is, I don't know if it feels like that at y'all's level. For us, we've always just been kind of risky and stupid and like, let's play outside or let's invite anyone to come play. And we're just like,
I think you have to define what does risk mean. Just playing something that maybe nobody has ever heard before, is that a risk? Or is that just interesting? Is that part of the adventure? You again, kind of going back to this and the feelings, when you're curating a program, what is the adventure that you seek to bring people on? Is it different every time? Is it just a different version of that adventure that you're looking for? Do you have a formula? You know, what are you thinking about? And because you also have amateur players who probably haven't played a lot of the repertoire, you know, how are you thinking about exposing them to the opportunity to perform that music as much as an audience to hear that music?
Well, what's great about Awesome Orchestra is that there's such a wide mix of players that and also we're more of a player-centric orchestra. We always have audience, but if no one shows up to watch us, we still exist, and which takes a huge load off of my back. It's like, okay, well, you know, there'll be less applause and cheering in between, but. And for those that don't know, our group, Awesome Orchestra, has monthly reading sessions where it's just kind of, think of it like a flash mob where we gather together. It's different every time. And, but yeah, in terms of, I mean, it's the most thrilling and the most scariest thing to program music, because to me, I look at it as, there's only one test, really, about whether a piece of music is good or bad. It doesn't have to do with the complexity or counterpoint or the instrumentation or the duration or the feelings you have, because it's incredibly subjective, right? Music is just mysterious. We don't know why or how it works or affects us. We won't for a long time, but we know we need it. And the one test is not about all that stuff about the quality of the music. It's, do you want to hear it again? And there is, I think, with only a few exceptions, there are some very exciting pieces that I love that I'm like, I think I'm good on this for a while. I don't think I need to hear this for a while. But most of the time, do you want to hear it again? It's such a good test. And so for me, it's like, well, let's just program awesome music that we want to hear again. So our last concert was not too dissimilar from the Let Us Break Bread concert. It wasn't focused in on a program, but more eclectic. We had music of Earth, Wind & Fire and Chaka Khan. We did mostly new pieces by local composers. And, you know, our one sort of standard, I think the oldest piece we played was from 1990, a John Williams piece from Hook. And that I thought was exciting. So it's fun and thrilling to just, as a conductor, to just say, well, this music is, I'm obsessed with this music, and I want to get everyone out here obsessed with it too. That's sort of my job, and I think our jobs. And to get back to the question of risk orchestras operate in this model of they've had to for so long think about making safe decisions, about getting butts in seats. Our audience is aging out. Well, think about the audience that you want to age into it. Of course, there's always been older demographics at orchestra concerts. And it's not just about having a younger, hip crowd, but it's about making space for as many people as possible and meeting people where they are, rather than saying, you should listen to this music because it's a classic. You know, there's lots of music out there that if orchestras got their hand on it, then it would go crazy. It's all subjective. Mm-hmm. So to me, that's the exciting part and the scary, challenging part.
Yeah. That's interesting, you know, think about with repertoire, And this idea that our audiences are dying out and only old people like it because, well, frankly, older generations were exposed more to it in their younger years. You know, many of you or your parents, they were required to play in band or an orchestra, right? I mean, it wasn't even a choice. And today, I mean, you know, you can barely get access if you wanted it. And that's something we're really trying to work towards in Oakland Unified School District. But this art form that is ephemeral, because it only ever happens in front of you as it's going. I mean, you can have recordings, but that's like attending a museum, listening to recordings. Going to a live concert, that you are in the center of this adventure. And what we have found actually, and on my side, we collect a lot of data and we study it, and we all get together in cooperatives and we talk about that data and how do we get our audiences, you know, grow the audience, build new audiences, and ensure the sustainability of our art form for our future. And one of the things that we found was everybody wants to hear Beethoven. It's actually like a bucket list thing for millennials that they need to go to a symphony and hear a Beethoven symphony, you know, I mean, because they've never done it before. And it's the thing that you should, and once you experience, you actually realize this is extraordinary. And so it's not about dumbing it down. It's not about trying to make it, you know, hip or modern. It's actually about erasing the perception that this is only for your grandparents or for really uber wealthy people. This is for everyone, and the access, it is your human right to this. I mean, it will always be just a modern marvel that you can get 100 people together to create something so immense on a stage.
It's like it takes so much work for the composer writing the piece and studying their whole lives, and the musicians studying their whole lives to be able to play a piece like that, and then the producers to be able to get it together and like pay everybody. And it's a miracle when any piece happens, and that's one of the things you can't sort of point to, but that we're always feeling that when it goes off, you're like, it worked. I guess we'll try it again.
It is expensive.
It is expensive, and it is exhausting, and it is there's also, but it's always worth it. There's a certain sense of like you said, that challenge of making orchestras for everybody, letting people know that your orchestra is for everyone. How do we get the orchestra to actually not just represent our community, but how do we get them to serve our community? And that's really hard because they've only served a very small slice of people for a long time. So I wanted to ask.
I'd like to interrupt and see if there are questions from the audience. Could we?
Yes, we could go on for hours about all of this.
We do have some
Truly.
questions. Maybe you could share the line here. Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure.
Hi, I'm Mary Jiang, and thank you very much for this excellent back and forth bantering between the two of you. You mentioned earlier, and it's true, that our generation was forced to take band orchestra back in middle school, and I was one of those people in the orchestra, which led to, you know, music loving. But today, band orchestra are not in many of the school districts anymore. How is the Oakland Symphony introducing the orchestra to the school district and get them involved?
You know, the question, if you didn't quite hear, I believe was how is Oakland Symphony helping Oakland Unified School District to increase music education opportunities. We are actually a primary supporter of the certified music teachers in Oakland Unified School District, and we actively advocate to ensure that those positions remain, because the only true way that we can equitably serve our students in our schools is by having it as part of the school day. It can't be where you take the kids out of class. It can't be, you know, after school. There's too many barriers to that. And the kids that truly need it the most are many of the ones that might be failing in other subject matters. And so they actually have even less access to, we call them electives, unfortunately, but it really is a primary piece of education. Reading, writing, arithmetic, I always heard, it's the gateway to education, not an education in itself. And so that's what we, in our communities, call your elected officials, your school board representatives, and really emphasize how important it is. There are so many studies. This is proven. I don't know why we're not doing it. But we have mentors that go in support so that we have more than just a one teacher to a whole classroom of student ratio. We bring some of the students aside to give them extra coaching. We have scholarship opportunities for private lessons, because private lessons is really the only way to get good enough to get into our youth orchestra. So there's, again, all of these barriers that we are trying to just alleviate. And there's other organizations too, SF Jazz, San Francisco Symphony actually is supporting Oakland Symphony to do this work as well. We're banding together to raise the money to do this kind of work. So, this is all about how can we all hold hands to ensure that we can give this to our kids. We owe it to them.
Elita?
Hi, my name is Alita Scola, and I was thrown out of Audubon High School concert choir, just want to say. And I really love music, so it didn't hurt me. David, I'm trying to figure out, how do we get to know where your concerts are? Are they just pop-up events, or can I get a schedule? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. The question was, how do we get to know where the Awesome Orchestra events are? And all you do is go to awesomeorchestra.org. We announce them sometimes far in advance, sometimes very shortly before the event, depending on the nature of it. But yeah, we have a listserv that we send out, and it's, yeah, you can find all that stuff on social media, but they're very, orchestra events are already ephemeral, as Mieko was saying, but ours are even more ephemeral because the group of players have never played together, and they never play together again because it's different every time as a collective. So, and they're always open to the public, 99% of them. So we try to think of our audience as awesome audience too, not just our players, even though we're a player-centric group. So please, I encourage all of you, any of you to come. We're based here in Oakland, but we play all over the Bay.
Well, I'd like to thank David and Mieko for sharing their time today. Now, we have a Oakland Rotary Vocal Orchestra, and it's my understanding it's David's birthday, and so I think the vocal orchestra, I'm going to turn this over. Okay.
One single
we have people. We have major singers on our orchestra. Please.
So happy birthday, David. My name is Isa. I'm with the Oakland Interfaith Gospel Choir, and we were at Break Bread this past weekend. And happy birthday to you. So if you would all join me in singing happy birthday to David.
Please lead us. Please lead the orchestra. Although I did learn this trick.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear David. Happy birthday to you.
David and Mieko, we're highlighting the new, in honor of your being here today, we're highlighting the new Rotary area of focus, the environment. In your honor, we're making a donation to the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group, SRAG, toward their focus on biodiversity, sustainable living, pollution, the climate, food systems, and a circular economy. We took great pleasure in having you here today, and thank you for being with us. Before we go, Dana Sack, did you have a guest here today? We missed you at the beginning of the meeting. It's behind you. Here we go.
Vinny's a professor at Cal at the Haas School in International Debt Forgiveness. He also teaches in Milan, he teaches in Singapore, he seems to teach in Paris, and he teaches in all these places in their local languages somehow. but he also sails with me and a great friend, and he'd be a huge addition to Rotary.
Okay, I'm going to give one last chance for bell ringers, and it is one last chance. I'm going to go to Lorna in just a moment, but this is the last meeting of the bell ringers money going to Mary's year. So if you like Mary, if you want to support her year, I want to ring the bell here. Lorna.
It's my pleasure to be one of the last bell ringers for 2021. I want to ring the bell in honor of the folks that put together the Train of Lights last Thursday in Niles Canyon. I took my family and grandchildren. Unique experience, had never been, and it was absolutely wonderful. So thank you.
Lorna Padilla Marcus for the Train of Lights last week. Thank you. Lois, you got some work to do here. I'm going to hold people here until your pockets are empty.
Well, it's not old people. I call it live life, mature. But I want to ring the bell in honor of Bell Hooks, the Black feminist writer, Stanford alum, and she passed away at 69 from renal failure yesterday. And I'm for Clint.
Thank you, Lois. Lois Corrin rings the bell for Bell Hooks, who died, I think it was yesterday. Thank you. Tom Lamone.
And I would like to ring the bell in support of Mary. So,
Tom Lamone rings the bell for Mary Jiang. Okay. Christine Watson.
I want to ring the bell for Mary.
Yes. Christine Watson rings the bell for Mary. Okay. So a couple things coming up. We're dark the next 2 Thursdays. We come back January 6th. Mayor Libby Schaaf will be our guest speaker, and also our district governor, Richard Flanders, will be with us that day. The next day, on Friday night, is comedy night at the Sound Room. The Sound Room just reopened, and it's drink a lot of coffee before you go, have some cocktails there, but it's from 9 till 11:30 in the evening. On the 15th, we go to the Pacific Pinball Museum at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning and just play pinball for your heart's delight. On February 2nd, Lunar New Year dinner at Peony Seafood Restaurant, celebrating Mary's year. And also, I want to bring up the Rotary International President-elect Jennifer Jones is coming to our district on February 27th, a Sunday night, at the Black Hawk Museum. The tickets are going very fast. If you go online to the district, or if you get hold of Jesse or I will tell you how to get them. Tickets are $150 each, but if you do buy tickets, let Jesse or I know, and we'll try to get a table together. Okay. Gary Flaxman, thank you for the thought for the day. Sean Marks, thank you for leading the nominating committee this year and just getting us wonderful directors. Tom Lamone, President-elect, nominee, Carrie Bukovich, Joel Parrott, and Alex Kafka. Mieko and David, thank you so much for being with us today. Robert Kidd, you need to say anything I said about Libby? Do you want to tell us who she is? Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Robert, for introducing Mieko and Dave. And all the greeters, mic runners, thank you, the AV folks, of course. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Remember, we are Rotary, serve to help others, and don't keep Rotary a secret. This meeting is adjourned.